Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now let's do some complaining about boxing. You know what I mean? That's probably what it always is. A little bit complaining. All right? About things, that's going on in the world of boxing. Listen, in the world of boxing, we got a lot of stuff going on like, people won't fight other people. Now, you got some people coming in like Turkey, Al-Sheikh, they say Al-Sheikh. But the guy coming from Saudi Arabia who's trying to give people the fights, trying to give people the money so they can fight and get the best fights. And I've told you he's going to be banned in the USA. I told you he's going to be banned and people weren't going to start liking him and stuff like that, right? Because at the end of the day, fans and fighters don't want to fight the hard fights, right? Now, in every business, if you could do something easy and get paid for it, you're going to do that. So it's legitimate, right? If they're going to fight the hardest fights, especially in the climate that it is in boxing, when you lose, people start calling you exposed already. We got to stop doing that, people. Just because somebody loses, don't mean they're exposed. That means they lost to that person on that night or that particular fighter's better. One of the two things. Doesn't necessarily mean they're exposed because they still climbing through them ropes and still kicking ass and will probably kick yours. See what I'm saying? So they're still boxers. They ain't exposed because they lost a fight. Like right now, the latest one is Tim Tszyu, he's exposed. Not necessarily Tim Tszyu kicked pretty much 80% of the population, but, you know what I'm saying? And has a good heart. Not necessarily. So, we can't go there all the time. But the guy who beat him, looked like he'll beat him a good 6 from 10 times. I think we can go with that because of how he beat him, but that don't necessarily mean he'll beat him every single time. I don't think so. I don't think everybody beats Tim Tszyu yet. But anyway, the point is, a lot of people are not fighting because, hey, basically, like, I ain't fighting that dude because that dude get on me. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want none of that, right? So one of the main culprits would be Canelo Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? It's just in every division he's been in, there's just been a lot of people he won't fight, right? But he's still doing that in broad daylight, right? And still becoming, like people call him, the face of boxing, and the fact that he's earned the right to fight who he wants. And then when you tell a fighter that, then you're going to get the fights that he wants. Definitely not the ones that you want as a fan, of a normal fan, not a fan of that person, that man. Because people are that man, if you're a fan of that man in some kind of weird way, then you don't want him to fight any challenging fights. But most people are just looking at it as a sport, like, hey, wow, Canelo versus that good dude in this division. No matter which one it was, it's like, hey, no 154. Whoa, you got two brothers that are twins, in Texas. Whoa, won't that be big? Don't they got a lot of Mexicans in Texas? Damn, hey, boy, that'd be a big fight. One of them Charlos, that's pretty awesome. Ooh, man, he's the mandatory for a real good guy, man. A real slippery guy, hard to hit, and beats up everybody like that Demetrius Andre guy. Ooh, that'll be cool. You can't ask that. You can't do that because his fans don't want him to fight that. Ooh, like you're weird for saying in the middleweight division, we can have an undisputed guy, one champion in the middleweight division, and the first middleweight undisputed guy for years, for a couple of decades. Whoa, I would like to have that fight. A boxing fan would want to have that fight. But because Canelo would have to fight a Demetrius Andrade for that to happen, everybody don't want it. And if you mention it, something's wrong with you. You see what I'm saying? That's how boxing rolls. So people see this, and boxers see this. Up and coming people see this. Like if you have a president acting a fool, now people think, well, damn, you could be acting a fool to become president. Now everybody's acting a damn fool. All the people in politics are just saying weird stuff in the open, in daylight now. Stuff that we would 20 years ago, you couldn't be able to say that. You can't say certain things. Now because we got one fool up here doing it, now everybody thinks that's the way to go, right? You see it even in boxing. Stuff Ryan Garcia's doing. He's like, hey, I'll say some ridiculous stuff, but if I repeat it over and over, like the people that are running for politics and running for the president and stuff, then that's the way to go. It filters down, people, is what I'm trying to say. So at the end of the day, that's what happens in boxing. Oh, Canelo made it without fighting the hardest fights. Cool. I'm going to do that. So people look up to him, like a Teofimo Lopez and a Gervonta Tank Davis, right? These guys look up to him, and they act as such. Gervonta Tank Davis, I call the Black Canelos for a few years now. And it's not, nothing against Gervonta Davis. It's pretty exciting fights, but it's never the stuff that you want. And the problem that you have, whether you're a Gervonta Davis fan or not, you have to admit there's been a lot of people, a lot of good fighters in or around his division, right? And then you some kind of way avoid those and pick the ones around them. Even when you went up to 140 to fight Barrios, but he ain't gonna fight nobody else at 140. You had a Devin Haney there who was undisputed at 135 in your division. That's what I'm saying. You have a face of boxing, and I've been complaining about it, in a division where someone else is undisputed in. You got Teofimo Lopez in or around your division. You had Lomachenko in or around your division, and just offered to fight him recently, but he's been there forever. Shakur Stevenson been in or around your division, and a lot others. I'm probably missing some names. Some real good names around his division. But those won't be fought. You fight the other ones and become face of boxing. Teofimo Lopez has fought 2 pretty hard fights. Lomachenko, and he won that. He fought Catterall instead of Regis Prograis. And, not Catterall, but the other guy, Josh Taylor. And so he got props for beating Josh Taylor. There was a Regis Prograis fight where he would have got more money. Didn't want to do that. So, and the same thing, Teofimo Lopez didn't fight Devin Haney for undisputed when he could have. Just like I'm not going to do that because I'm the guy that's not black. So they're going to give me props for having a franchise title. And they're going to say something, his title, he's the email champion, even though he did it the right way. Just the way it is. So, he can play on that, right? And it's until now, he loses against Jermaine Ortiz, gets the win. Loses against Sandor Martin, gets the win, right? And had a hard fight with Glaggard. You know what I'm saying? So he's not going to do anything hard. That's it. And those guys, Jermaine Taylor is not considered a good fighter, which is ridiculous because Jermaine Ortiz, is awesome, right? But they trying to play like he's not. But he's got wins over actually Jermaine Ortiz, which is a travesty. To beat Lomachenko and beat Teofimo Lopez, but not getting credit for either one of those fights. Not even be people saying, damn, he was in both of those fights. To give him some love and give him some, some props, and his financials go up because he was definitely in those fights with both of those guys, right? But, there's no recognition for it. So at the end of the day, people like Teofimo Lopez and Gervonta Davis exist, and they wouldn't have if a Canelo didn't exist. Because they're looking up to, hey, it's possible to do it that way. Now, right now, Teofimo Lopez is talking about Turki Al-Sheikh tried to sabotage Canelo's fight against Berlanga. But why wouldn't he? Because everyone else wants Canelo to fight anybody. You had David Morrell, who was your mandatory for 2 years. You had David Benavidez, who's been your mandatory for 2.5 years. And so, the sanctioning bodies won't force you to fight him, and people are sick of Canelo not fighting anybody remotely who we want him to fight. And Turki Al-Sheikh is trying to come over here and force people to fight. So that's probably why I just said, I'm not going to care if he's fighting on Mexican holiday. We're not supporting that. That's all that was. And that's rightfully so. We need somebody who's just going to say, we don't care what's going on in America with that racism and stuff like that. Everybody has to abide by the rules. The people in the fans that are not man fans are fans of the sport, and they just want to see the best fight the best. The belts exchanging hands, and we don't care who wins or loses. When somebody loses, we're not going to drop them off to the wayside. We're going to continue to watch them. If you give them fights, that's what Al Heyman was trying to do when he came in. Listen, we're going to just keep pushing y'all on free TV so people can get to know you and don't care if you lose. And we'll watch you 3 months later, even after a loss. And in the world of boxing, that's how it should be. Because you're going to get your head knocked off in one fight. You're not going to be as great as Floyd Mayweather because the discipline is just not going to be there, right? It's just not, and we don't want them. We don't care if somebody is, undefeated. We got a couple of undefeated guys that have fought hard fights to get there. A lot of them, slip their way through. But a lot of them, hard fights to get to undefeated is awesome. Usyk should not be undefeated. Terrence Crawford should not be undefeated with who they fought. They shouldn't be. But they're exceptional, and we should enjoy it. But if they lose, all of a sudden, Terrence Crawford, can he still get exposed right now? Hell no. Can Alexander Usyk be exposed right now? No, he can't. Did Dmitry Bivol get exposed because he lost to your boy Better Be Up? Hell no. Bad boys. So, shoot, Danny Garcia, I ain't going to keep mentioning Danny Garcia. He never got exposed, in my opinion. He said the only thing that's exposed is he's not the very best, but that don't mean he ain't good. We're real fans of the sport. Try that. You might like it. Dope Sports Talk, worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.